Hello everyone. I sincerely hope you are watching this video in the best of health and are taking good care of your loved ones. Today we will discuss an article published in the Financial Express newspaper. The title of this article is Less Workers but Better Looked After, More Skilled. This article discusses the availability of skilled labor in a post-COVID India and what measures need to be taken to upgrade and make the best use of the skills to the benefit of the country. Let's read to find out more. Less workers, but better looked after, more skilled. India's labor relations are due for a big reset. Hostels and better conditions are the new normal, and more reskilling too. So definitely labor conditions are being talked about here, which are getting better. Facilities are being improved, and that will surely improve labor relations. Given how they suffered during the lockdown period, it is likely a good many migrant workers will stay back in their villages, preferring to earn a livelihood in the agri-rural economy. Given the very limited opportunities though, especially at a time when the economy is decelerating, the majority will probably have no option but to take the train back to industrial centers. In fact, Larsen & Toubro have seen its workforce increase to 1,20,000 from 70,000 in the last fortnight and is adding 2,500 to 3,000 workers every day. So the mass exodus of migrants from industrial centers back to their villages, the reverse migration, and the extremely cruel and difficult ordeal that the migrants had to go through has quite much dented their hopes and aspirations of a city life. Most of them will prefer to stay back in their villages now, after their emotions were hurt and the trust eroded due to the massive neglect of their conditions when the lockdown was announced. But at the same time, there are not much opportunities in the rural India at the time. And even though the economy is surely stressed, many will want to migrate again from their respective villages back to those industrial centers. However, given the dangers of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is important they are housed in clean premises and are covered for health and medical benefits. Whether they are local laborers living close to the factory premises or migrants from now, employers will have no option but to ensure that workers are looked after. Now, this is a good thing. It was due since ages and this pandemic made it happen. The employers are now obliged to ensure better living conditions for their employee laborers. As S. Ramadurai, chairman of the National Skill Development Agency NSDA and also of National Skill Development Corporation NSDC, pointed out in an interview to this paper, the living conditions of workers in the cities are truly appalling. It is unacceptable that 4 dozen people are sharing a toilet in slums like Dharavi. The numbers are large even if around 60 to 70% of about 100 million migrants go back to the states where they were employed. That is 60 to 70 million people. So there can be no overnight solutions. Appalling means very bad or awful, used here for living conditions of workers in cities. Now, considering that 60 to 70% of reverse migrated workers return to cities and start residing in slums or wherever they may, arrangements cannot be made suddenly for better facilities. But India Inc. and the local governments must work together to start addressing their needs. There are tax incentives available for companies that want to set up accommodation for workers, but hostels can also be set up by third parties, say in industrial hubs, so that the scale takes care of the economics. So a good suggestion has been presented in this part of the paragraph of third-party hostels in industrial areas, which can enter into contracts with companies and provide adequate accommodation at a fixed price. Now, when scale takes care of the economy, it is called economies of scale, meaning when something is bought or sold or produced or consumed in bulk quantities, the costs go down. Meanwhile, the government must fix the PDS and make sure workers have access to public health facilities. Whether companies locate their factories in places where workers are available in large numbers or whether workers migrate to faraway states in search of a livelihood, living standards need to improve. More critically, as automation allows companies to use less labor, workers need to be skilled for different jobs. In the villages, mobile training centers can be used to train them. and the skills mapped electronically so that they can be tapped. This is already happening in many districts in the country, with corporate houses playing a role, and some programs like the one in Jharkhand have been successful. The editor in these lines suggests improving the living standards, upskilling, and its mapping. But the initiatives are hopelessly inadequate in relation to the number of workers that require to be trained. India probably spends less than 1% of GDP in skilling, whereas anything less than 5 to 10% is insufficient if the country harbors ambitions of becoming part of the global supply chain. Now, skilling comes at a cost. Currently, the expenditure on skill development is less than 1% of GDP, and it has been noted that even 5 to 10% of GDP will be less, given the large workforce that needs upskilling in India. Over the next few years, job opportunities are expected to be created in areas such as agriculture and food processing, where reforms are being rolled out. It is up to corporates and government to invest in education and skilling programs so as to create a workforce capable of being employed in high-tech industries. There is also the opportunity to incorporate skilling within Manrega, given the scheme's reach and budget. The investment needs to be made in education and skilling both by public and private sector. Manrega has a big reach and budget and can be exploited to this benefit. In all this, the labor unions must cooperate so that workers become increasingly productive. Unless we step up our efforts to train workers, perhaps by incorporating skilling into school curricula, a few years down the road, we will end up with large numbers of both unemployable and unemployed. Okay, so the author chose to end this article with a fair warning that if skilling is not incorporated in education, we will end up with a large number of both unemployable and unemployed. Very well. I hope you understood this article. It is quite a suggestive one. Feel free to come up with doubts and questions if you have any. Also, answer the questions in the description of this video for more clarity. This is me signing off for today. You take care of yourself, stay in and stay safe.